Hi there, everyone. Today I'm going to make a side, an Easter side. I'm going to make deviled eggs. I've been wanting to make this for quite a while, but this is the perfect time to make it as an Easter side for Easter Day. So I have a really neat recipe that I've had for over 40 years. This old Betty Crocker cookbook, my sister Susie gave this to me Christmas of 1977, and as you can see, I've gotten lots of use out of it. So I don't like mayonnaise. I never have. None of my siblings, except for my older sister, has ever liked mayonnaise. And there's a little story behind that, but we just don't like it. And my older sister used to chase me up and down the stairs with an open jar of Miracle Whip. And a lot of people say, oh, well, Miracle Whip's not the same as mayonnaise. But for somebody that strongly dislikes it, to me, they're all the same. So Betty Crocker has had this recipe for deviled eggs for over 40 years. I don't know how old, but I've had this cookbook for so long. And it's a substitution for mayonnaise in these deviled eggs. And I've used it all these years. And I do use mustard. And I add different things depending on what kind of deviled eggs I'm making. But for people that don't like mayonnaise, this is really a great substitution. And even if you do like mayonnaise, you should give it a try because it really is really good. By the time you add all the other seasonings and ingredients, it's just fine. And if you don't want to use the substitution that I'm going to use, you don't have to. But this is my way of making deviled eggs without having to have mayonnaise. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. Today I'm going to do my deviled eggs with some celery, and I chop it very fine. I'm going to use some green olives that I chop fine, and a red onion. And I don't always make my deviled eggs the same way every time. Sometimes I just do them very plain. But today I'm going to do this version. So the ingredient that I use instead of mayonnaise is a light cream. And Betty Crocker has had this as an option for as long as I can remember. And it is a wonderful option because not everybody likes everything. And I think it is nice to be able to have a nice substitution for it. So I put the green olives in. You can put black olives too, which I have done. And there's other things. You can put horseradish. I'm using like a sweet hot mustard in mine with this the light cream, and it gives it a little bit of the pickled flavor, whatever, kind of a little bit of a flavor that you would miss in the mayonnaise. So I mean, it has all the flavors that a good deviled egg should have. It just is a different way of making the flavors. So if you want to stick with your mayonnaise, by all means do that. You can. It's very simple. The only thing that's differing from this deviled egg recipe, this version, is mayonnaise versus the cream. So I'm going to finish chopping this, and our eggs are almost ready. So our eggs are done, and I'm going to use 6, which will make 12 deviled eggs. And I always peel my eggs when they're still warm because they're easier for me to peel that way. So I'm going to start by trying one, and that way I can check to see if they're done to my liking, which they are. And then I'm going to empty them in a bowl, the yolks, and put the whites aside. So I always check my one egg first. And we were all raised differently with our eggs. Some people like really, this right here, my mother always intentionally had them, they're kind of, I don't know if you want to call them a little green or purple or what. My mother always, according to a lot of people, overcooked her boiled eggs, and I do the same thing. And just like some people like their eggs sunny side up, I don't. A lot of people probably wouldn't like their eggs boiled this much. I do. So technically they should be boiled anywhere from 8 to 13 minutes, and I usually go about 15. So we usually go by how we were raised, and that's what we do. So this is the first one, and now I'm going to get the other ones. So if you can find one of these little deviled egg trays, are really nice, and they not only present them well, but they fit really well in them. So now I just go ahead and I let them, the rest of them, kind of cool for a little bit. I don't cut them all when they're hot. So we're just going to go through the rest of them and just slice them in half. And take the yolks out and put them all in a bowl, just like this. It's a very kind of a uncomplicated side dish to have. And most people like eggs, and most people like deviled eggs, so it's a really popular side dish to have, especially at Easter. When a lot of families are going to be boiling eggs anyway for the kids, it's just, you might as well boil some extras. Okay, so the next step is we're going to add our cream and our mustard. And the mustard is, for 6 eggs, it's about a half a teaspoon is what I use. And I kind of just guesstimate, so to speak, and then I put like 3 tablespoons of cream. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a fork and you're just going to mash it. It's real simple. So I'll add about a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, not a lot. And then I add some pepper, not a lot, just a little. And then at the very end, most people use paprika, and I'm no exception. So I'm just going to sprinkle them when I'm completely done with them. And it kind of gives them a nice little color, and it's a traditional thing. So I think most people that make deviled eggs, they can't leave out that last little sprinkle of paprika. So you can always add more mayonnaise or more cream, whatever you're using, to get to the consistency here that you're looking for. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our onions and our celery and olives. And you kind of decide how much you want. And I might use all of them and I might not. I don't measure when it comes to this recipe. I just don't measure. I just kind of look at it. Like here, it looks like it needs a little more cream. So I'm going to add a little more. And just keep mashing and adding how you want. So you get to the consistency that you want. So that's what we're going to do. So I've reached the consistency that I like, which is creamy, like this. It just depends on how you want it, just exactly the consistency you're looking for. This is kind of in between. It's kind of creamy, but not overly creamy. So now I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to fill all these whites up. And you can fill them up. What I do is I usually go one by one to make sure I have plenty for all of them, which I do, I can tell. And you can kind of fill the whole top how you want it, like as much as you want, like this, or however you want. So what I'm going to do is go through and fill all these up. And like I said, a lot of them you can overfill how you want. So I will finish the rest of them and be back. Okay, here we are. They're all done. And now the last part is getting some paprika, and you're just going to sprinkle a little bit over each one. Just like this, however much you want. Okay. Doesn't that look wonderful? Now we're ready to taste. Here they are, and they look so delicious. And this is a really good snack. Even if you're not using this for an hors d'oeuvre or an appetizer with friends or family, it's really a very nice snack. My youngest son and I went to visit a friend of mine out of state several years ago, and I packed some of these for our trip to stop off and get a snack, and they worked out really well. So let's give this a try. Excellent. The celery is really good in this because it has a little crunch. So, if you want to try a new variation of deviled eggs, I think you'll really like this. It's something a little different. It's real fresh with the onions and the celery. It has a very fresh, good taste. So I hope you give this a try, and I hope it turns out wonderful for you.